Alright, so I don't know exactly if I can completely recreate this, but I can just delete parts and go along and try and describe what I did. And I can sort of explain how I got some of the parts to be placed the way they are. Some of it I did intentionally, and some of it just came accidentally, and so you might just find that you'll be able to place something, but if you really want to make it specific, then you might have to do some little tricks. I wouldn't call them actual complicated glitching techniques. These are just little tricks that people have found out along the way of what you can do with these parts. So for instance, like this this arm is not snapped to the same grid as these pieces. These pieces are snapped normally, and this snap point is halfway. It's just sitting half in between the two pieces, so that's a glitch. The fuel canisters here, which look like the top of an engine head, that's glitched. Some of these parts are glitched. I'll try and show how I place these. These parts right here are the server parts. These are the base decoration parts that you can get, and in order for me to place parts like this kind of perfectly, I had to do this. So I guess I'll start by showing this. You know, just place that, delete that, and that is a platform for me to get on and place these parts. I had to do that for the brake lights and the headlights. And the headlights, I had to use 2 of the servers, the blue version, 2. And in the back, I just used 1. They're different sizes. I don't know why the red ones are kind of chunkier. Maybe, I think they're different. So these units here, the habitats, you have to think of them as scaffolding. They're also the main part of the build. And I'll get to that. I'll show you the core of the ship. But these are how you're going to attach things. This is how you're going to be able to do stuff like this, where you attach something and then you can remove it. And you just have a part floating in the air like that. You can add on to it. Keep building on, and then you can expand it and eventually connect it up with the rest of the ship. But that's essentially how you attach some of these parts that are going to be difficult to attach. So I'll just start deleting parts. Because I want to show essentially what you're going to have to start with. This is how I started this thing. And you might not be able to get all the pieces in the way they are. But you can get close. That's weird. Alright, I think that's enough. This is the structure of my build, and you saw that I had one of these reactors down here. It was this one. I recommend having 2 of these reactors if you can. Building them underneath the vehicle, underneath the ship, is a good way to do this. And I mean, you can, you can stack more, you can extend your cab out a little bit, but the way I have my cab is like this. I thought the Thunderbird looked the best. I've seen most car builds have the Thunderbird. And that's it. That is the skeleton. And that's enough for me. I've seen people go bigger, but just because of the shape and the parts that were available, I went with the size that it is because of the proportional limits of the parts that you have available to you. So let's talk about that front. I used this piece like this. This should look familiar. You see? Now here's the first bit of advice I have for what people call glitch building. It's not that hard. Anyone can do it. All you need to do is place a landing gear with a hab, go here to your exterior decorations, and there are several decorations that you can choose. I choose the small vent. I place it on the hab, and I click R2 on the PS4 to move the hab. And I'm going to move it just slightly to the left. And as you can see, it just moves up a half unit and over a half unit. That's a half. You see it? And you can move it side to side, front to back. And that is how I was able to glitch in the fuel canisters. Like I said, these are only temporary pieces, scaffolding. It's just there so you can do irregular placings of parts. And that's an easy one. That's just a simple placement. Another useful trick let's say you know, we use the rock hopper propeller module as tires to simulate tires. I think that was up. Well, it's not quite there yet. It's just, I'll do the back hoppers first. I'll do the back ones. Let's copy that part and replicate it. So you have these here, and you only have so much room to attach parts on, and essentially, you know, you're going to try and attach things like these reactors, Zenith class reactor, and you're gonna come over here to your twin Echo jets or whatever engine you like. I thought that these looked appealing. So you're gonna have that, but you kind of want more thrusters than that. But you only have so much room to attach things on. And you're attaching parts that are limited in their click points for these parts. So, you know, you have this part right here to simulate fenders, and come over to your engines, and you don't have any place to put these. There's no, you know, you're running out of room. You don't have any way to put that. Well, like over here, how we were able to just clip these pieces in over each other and they're overlapping each other, you can do the same thing with this now moved piece. You don't delete this part, you keep this part here because you can use it to come all the way over here, and with that part now there, you're able to go back to your thrusters and place a thruster. And now if I delete these, it's not in a red state, it's good. You're good to go. Okay, so I just deleted some of these pieces here to just sort of show that, you know, how to place this. Now if you're kind of looking at this and you're wondering, hey, I want to line up my fenders. I need to place my fenders down below if you want bottom fenders. I need to place those fenders there, but this is overlapping and it's not lined up here, so that way they're parallel or they're lined up. So what I would say to that is that you delete these and you have this piece here. This is the second component to this glitch building technique that people have discovered that allows you to place parts into each other. This is the second big part. So there's two techniques. First, we learned how to place an exterior decoration on a tab to move it a half unit and up a half unit. This is realigning. This technique realigns that part on a horizontal basis. So the rock hopper here is unique in that it can only on one side. I don't know why, for some reason it's only on one side, but you can move the rock hopper a half unit. You normally can't do this with all the other parts, but the rock hopper for some reason lets you do that. So moving that rock hopper there allows you to create a new snap point. Damn it. With that new snap point, you can place a bottom fender, or the bottom piece here. Flip it. Yeah. I'll just leave that one temporarily. Do this. That's okay that it's red. If it's red, you can still go back and start placing things again, and it has a proximity. Once it's so close to other parts, it will go back to that state. But it's okay if it goes red. Nothing will happen to it unless you delete it by accident. But this piece, you have to remember that this piece is no longer on the same plane as these pieces. There are, you know, in a three-dimensional space, there are three planes, and by taking this piece, you're shifting one of the planes over by a whole unit or a half unit. But once you have the part off shifted to a different plane, you're able to glitch and place things in like this. How do I do the other side? I seriously build a bridge all the way over to the other side. It's okay that those halves collide. If there's nothing in them, it's fine. If you have decorations placed inside the hab and you go and do this and you go back and you delete one of these habs, some of the parts that are inside that are going to get deleted. Like that couch. I had a couch over here, it got deleted. So you have to remember that if you're going to be doing this, do not have base parts inside your habs. They're going to get deleted. But continuing on from here, build over, down, down, down again, duplicate, flip, rotate, and attach. And that is how I did my rear pieces here. See? So now I have my 3 engine modules that I get in the technology slots once this is completed, and I'm going to have 2 of these and 1 of these. I think I have 1. I'll have to look. So remember, this is part 1. If you want to do these techniques, if you want to build your car without any of those techniques, you can. You're just going to have to probably not have certain features. If you want these features, or if you want to get as close as you possibly can to a car, you're gonna want to do these. And you might be thinking, hey, that's too much for me, but if you just have this video up while you're in game, put one landing gear down, put one hab on top of that, and one of these small vents, pick up the hab and just move it around and see what it does. That's another thing. You see how this part is centered on the rest of the build. You can offset it, and that splits it down the middle. Let me delete this temporarily. And what that allows you to do, you know, if you want like this on the very front of your car, and you want to have that, you want to have these pieces be the hood, you want a round hood or something like that. You wouldn't normally be able to place these parts with this center piece here. You have to split these pieces down the middle if you want to have a feature such as this, which is not bad. I like that a lot. Doing that also lets you do this. You can continue building on like this to this part, and take this, put it down here below, delete that, delete these, delete these. Now you have a little platform there. Temporarily I'll have to do that. A little platform there where you can do something like this. Yeah. I would have to... Yeah, I would say that actually it would probably look okay like this. Maybe we'll see. This is an example of a problem that you run into while placing these parts. See, I think actually maybe... We're gonna solve this. Place a small vent. Yeah, I think that is going to be how. Now this is being kind of picky with there. Let's just do this. Problems, huh? There's just so many snap points that it's colliding with. See, it wants to snap there. But once that piece is there, you know what you could do? Delete that. Delete that. Again with the rock hopper. This thing saves lives. So there. And I mean, you could have a car that's designed like that. You can have a car build that extends out that far. Look at that. You know, that's a long. I like that. If I saw that at the Anomaly, I would be like, you know what? That is awesome. That is great. Whoever did that, good for them. Because damn. They look cool. The car builds, I like them. And again, those pieces here are just temporary. That piece, if I wanted to complete this and finish it, those pieces would just be floating there. I'm just freestyling now. If you like the fin, I'll show you how to do the fin. I'll just use this as an example. Actually, I wonder if I can do this. Let's see, can I attach this anywhere? No. I'll go back and look at my original build, but I'm just seeing if I can show what I did. I think that that is the right height. So again, take your scaffolding and place it down so that it creates a surface, an attachment surface for the parts that you want. And now it's starting to look Formula One-ish. But that's how I made the fins. Mine, I think, is down a little lower. I think I glitched these in a certain way. But the only reason why these pieces here are actually touching this fin is because these pieces were shifted a half up. So on this plane, they're correct. On this plane, because these pieces are lined up, this piece is lined up with the original parts. This piece right here. In order for me to have placed this part down here, I had to shift this up a half and over a half and then back a half. So now these are shifted up a half from the original plane that these are placed on. And that is why they can touch. So if you have pieces like, watch, like, look, if I let me delete these. If I do this, can't be done. So in order for a fin to be made, you have to have, maybe I'm not saying the right term for this part of the vehicle, but I call it a fin. You have to have these parts that are shifted in order to do something like this. So now I'm gonna store this for later. And my original design should reappear. So the same thing goes for this part right here. I had to scaffold that part in. But the pieces like this, let me try and delete all the parts that are glitched. Okay. This is glitched. This is glitched. Glitched. Let's delete the guns. This part down here, this is on the same plane as these pieces. So let's delete these. Same thing there. This is a different part, but the same thing goes. Delete those. Those are glitched. Now, these pieces down here are also glitched. Delete that. Delete that. That. That part is glitched too. Delete that. Delete. Delete. Delete those. I'll go ahead and delete these. just to slim it down and make it more digestible. Some of the parts that I'm deleting are placed normally, but I just want to show a basic structure. I think that these parts right here are maybe, yeah, those parts were also glitched in. I think I glitched them in because I saw how that was and I was not happy. So delete those too. And I think I'll delete the windows just to... There. So this is where you can start. And this is good. There's your landing gear right here. Your landing parts, 3 of them. So you'll get the 3 mods and your technology for the ship. There is a reactor here. You have a reactor. You can stick another reactor inside, underneath this part. If you need to go back and refer to how to place these habs, just rewind the video and rewatch how these were placed. I think that this piece right here is, let's see, it might be that one, it's this one. I used this shape. I think that shape, I think that these parts right here, it is called Vesper diffuser. If you use the diffusers, they look really good. On the front, used... I used these on the bottom, I think. I think I flipped this. No, this piece. I flipped this and glitched this in on that plane that I shifted down. But all these should snap, these pieces should snap normally. You know, there you go. You see the basic structure inside. Just make a little space. You have to make sure that your habs are all connected by a whole unit. You can't have habs connected by a half unit. You can't have habs colliding into each other. You're not going to be able to get inside your ship. You're not going to be able to align stairwells. So the core structure of your ship needs to be on one plane. All these pieces need to be all on X, Y, and Z, the same planes. And, you know, you can experiment. Say you don't like those shapes, you want these shapes. I don't think that that's going to look that's going to look more tank-like than it is going to look like a car. I think it just so happens to be that the proportions of these parts are going to be the best way to go. That's the other. You can mix and match parts. Parts can be flipped. Parts can be rotated and mirrored normally with the given options you have. And this right here, this is not a hard build. These parts are all placed normally. I've seen a recent build, a guy who did a Back to the Future build, where he had some things like this. I don't think it's gonna look so nice on this build, but he had his come out wider. His car came out, DeLorean came out, I think he extended the core unit of his vehicle. I like the compact rice rocket style car, and I just kind of want to do my own thing. I don't want to copy someone exactly, but I'm showing you this. You can copy this idea right here because it's an easy way for you to make a little customizable vehicle. But in order to place all the extra parts, you are going to have to glitch. Unless you're happy with this the way it is. See, I can't even, if I want to put a little piece down here to fill it in, I can't even do that. I have to have something. It's just the way it is. You might be able to get away with attaching some halves. So I was able to do that. And from there I can place this. And this is not with any glitching. This is just, you know, I'm just trying to fill this in. It's on the same planes as all the other parts. It's just, you know, it's just placed there. Well, actually, no, that might be shifted. No, that is shifted. That is shifted. That's probably why they're colliding. So even doing something like that, I'm just showing you the limitations of building normally. Now you see why shifting that is so appealing. It was so nice looking having the top and bottom piece there. And that here's the thing also, once you have the bottom of the fender, the bottom fender in right here, you can continue on. So that means you can take some of these pieces right here, you can take this piece and attach it. Once you have it, and it'll be down, it'll be like this is, here, I'll show you. So this piece, I centered, I didn't start it from back here. I didn't start it from back there. This piece I placed separate from these two. See, this piece and this piece are aligned. They're aligned. So that means I was able to place this part from this part right here. I took one of these and put it here, and I just deleted the rest of it. I deleted the bottom row just because I thought it looked nice like that. I think what it does is it just adds more proportionality. It, you know, instead of a thin profile, it adds a little bit more. Plus it also creates a nice line lined up with these pieces right here. something to really remember is that once you create a shifted block, you create a whole new set of attachment points that can collide with the other parts. But one thing to remember is that once you place a part that has shifted, you should remember that that is shifted, because you could be going along trying to add things and you place a landing gear, let's put that down there, you place your halves because you want to add something to this, and you glitch it, you shift it, you're going to need to remember that that will no longer, whatever this is on, whatever plane that is on, this will no longer work. So actually I think it was like this. Let me see. Let's see. Is it on that level? Yes. So you see it's on that level. It looks to be that this is the part right here that might be glitched. Yeah, looks like that. These are the glitched pieces right here. These were placed normally, but because these are on that plane, if you glitch pieces on that plane, they cannot collide. Only pieces on separate planes can collide. The same thing goes if I want to take this piece, I can't, there's certain attachment points that I just can't put it because it would collide. I guess maybe the habs have different rules. It seems like you can place hab to hab even though there are parts colliding. And as far as all the extra parts, this right here, this is a Quicksilver reward, so you're going to need to farm Quicksilver or do the Quicksilver missions, Nexus missions found at the anomaly. And I think that a part like this might cost 500 Quicksilver, 800 maybe. You might also have other parts that you can use from the normal selection. I'll show you where those parts are. I'll do this. You do that in order to get up here. I don't want to mess with the parts. Store design for later. But I'm going to show you with, so if I had those blocks there, I'd be positioned up here like this. So I'd be sort of standing here looking down on it like that. See? So that brake light part, you go to your build menu, you go all the way down in the furnishings, and it's server block B. And I'm pretty sure that, okay, that looks to be the same. I don't know, you can size these, you can size. So depending on how big your opening is, you're gonna need to size. So I would be, you know, I'd be standing on that block like this, looking, do you see how it goes green? You can do it hovering, but it's kind of hard. That's why I like the scaffolding, because you can just align way easier. You don't have to worry about the jetpacks running out. But that's how you do it. The server block A and B. There's other things you can use. You can get creative and maybe use some of the holographic wall displays. You could probably use like a planetary globe in there if you're an aquarium. That would work. Fireplace even, maybe. You could somehow place a fireplace back here and have flames coming out. I don't know. People do stuff like that. People get crazy with this. But I watch what they do and take bits and pieces that I like, and there's a lot of people out there, I don't know their names, but I have to give credit to all the players who came before me who did this stuff. A lot of people on Reddit, a lot of people on YouTube, good people. And that's pretty much it. That's all I really have to say about this. I'm gonna end the video now. But yeah. I hope you can take this and start your own by go ahead and like copy the skeletal structure with the halves the way they are, copy it, use that, or extend them out a little bit. You widen your car or make it longer by putting in a whole hab or a half hab or, you know, a hallway or a whatnot. You can do that. But remember, if you want to place some of these parts the way they're placed, you're going to have to do that plane shifting glitch. But yeah, enjoy and have fun. Don't get mad when you're building. Just go slow and take your time. And stop every now and again and stretch and rub your eyes and your temples and, you know, blink a little, and you'll get there. You'll have a beautiful Corvette car build. I hope you have one someday. Have a good time. Later.